Hello, good evening. Tonight I want to talk a little bit about the spices because I figured that'd be a nice, easy way to talk about some of the stuff. So, spices are incredibly healthy for you. After the presentation, I'm going to give you a quick link to Gregor's summary of some of the spices. In short, the spices are very, very rich in antioxidants. In fact, cloves are one of the most highly antioxidant rich food. Only need a very tiny amount of that in order to really boost the body's antioxidant status. Certain spices, such as ground cinnamon, in certain forms may be helpful for diabetes, and in certain forms not so helpful for it. There's going to be a link to a cinnamon presentation underneath this video as well. And cinnamon is important because it's something that's very common in our diets. And there's two different types of the cinnamon. More details will be on there. Essentially, the type that is good for fighting the diabetes is also a little bit toxic to the liver, and the other type is safer on the liver but doesn't do anything for the diabetes, according to the latest research. Anyway, the maximum of cinnamon should be approximately a quarter teaspoon per day if that's something that you're going to be incorporating as a maximum limit. People with kidney stones might want to be a little bit more cautious with the cinnamon because it is high in oxalates, which in some people may predispose to kidney stones. Of course, having a whole food plant-based diet pattern is also extremely helpful for preventing the kidney stones, so you may have a little bit more leeway if you incorporate lots and lots of plants in your diet. Next, the queen of all spices. Since we use this so much, we actually have a bag that we put a smaller container in here, but turmeric. Turmeric is this bright, beautiful golden yellow spice, very anti-inflammatory, it's anti-Alzheimer's, anti-cancer, opens the blood vessels, incredibly good to have handy. And similar to the turmeric, you only want to have about a quarter teaspoon at least in your diet on a regular basis. Sometimes people have asked me, well, how do you take it? Is it like a cinnamon challenge? No, definitely not. Do not do that unless you really want to, which I don't know why. But anyway, turmeric is very good to mix in with foods and can be mixed in with things like leftovers and stuff. Alright, so the way I do my turmeric, just to make sure that I get a daily dose because it's been really good for my arthritis, is just mixing it with a morning cup of soy milk chai, in which I also have 1/8 of a teaspoon of ginger. Now ginger is incredibly healthy as well. It basically, lost it for a second there. Ginger is very good for fighting many conditions. 1/8 of a teaspoon, this stuff is also pretty strong, so it has been shown to help reduce migraine severity. So if you're looking for something in the kitchen that can help get rid of migraine potentially, ginger might be your best friend. The other nice thing about ginger is it's very good for muscle aches, and I was very happy to see Dr. Gregor's presentation on this. Ladies everywhere can rejoice. 1/8 of a teaspoon twice a day for the week before your period cuts down on the bloating, the mood swings, the overall PMS symptoms, we call it, premenstrual syndrome. And 1/8 of a teaspoon of ginger 3 times a day during your period cuts the bleeding and the cramping pain in about half, according to one of the research studies. So I think I said, thank you, Dr. Gregor, big time after that one. So ginger is very good for arthritis, it's very good for muscle aches, and for the women it has a special uses as well. Also very good to add to cooking. Of course, ginger can come in powdered form, and this is the form that was used in the studies. It also comes in a lot of other forms. This is pickled ginger, for example. The more processed something is, generally speaking, it tends to not work quite as good. However, in this case, because it's ginger, it tends to be pretty hardy, so if it's boiled as far as the root goes, or pickled, or powdered, or dried, basically it usually doesn't really kill the active ingredient too much. So ginger, in any which way, is a very good choice. And a few highlights. Nutmeg has been helpful for mood as well. This one, some of the other ones, you have to be mindful of the dose or the amount that you're taking. A lot of it apparently is not very good for you. More details, of course, in the Gregor videos below. Also something you can throw into chai as well. Next, you got two of these. It's very good. This is cayenne pepper, one of my favorite things for folks with a cold. So cayenne pepper plus ginger mixed in with some warm water, a little lemon, a little honey if you like, maybe some sparkling water if you want it to be more like a ginger ale. Usually use that with root that has been sliced and boiled for a little bit. But this is one of my favorite remedies for the common cold. Is it going to cure the cold? No, but cayenne pepper, if eaten, can help cause the sinuses to release their release the mucus, and then it dries up immediately thereafter. So cayenne pepper is very helpful for that. For folks who are looking for a little extra weight loss boost, cayenne pepper actually turns on the fat burners, which are located back here in the shoulder and the back of the neck area. There is a brown fat area back there that gets stimulated by things such as cayenne pepper and nuts and a few other foods which are rich in arginine. More details on that below as well. All right, moving on to the next one. All right, so another nice thing about using a whole food plant-based diet pattern is that there are so many hundreds of active ingredients, so to say, that combining one thing with another actually makes those things work even better. For example, if you have a little bit of black pepper around the same time as you have some of your turmeric, or turmeric is also commonly found in curry powder, so it makes a quick Indian dish. But anyway, if you have two of them together, turmeric plus black pepper, it actually really boosts the absorption of the active turmeric ingredients as well. So this is one case where black pepper, yes, it's very awesome on its own, but if you have the two in the stomach at the same time, it gives you even better benefits. Does that mean that I, sprinkled pepper into my morning soy milk chai? Not really, I don't tend to do that, but if I have pepper a little while later, or in a different dish in the same meal, then it will help boost the bioavailability. So anyway, next, similarly speaking, a lot of other things like vanilla also are going to give you some anti-inflammatory benefits, but also basically just different ways in which you can flavor your foods without any added oil. So instead of using salt on everything, for example, there are many flavorful blends of things. Garlic actually can make things taste a little bit salty, and so a lot of these blends, like the Mrs. Dash versions, this is a savory table blend for Mrs. Dash. For those who are looking to lower their blood pressure, anything you can do to stay away from salt is going to be helpful. And again, having lots of whole plant foods in life will also be very helpful as well. I think just another quick idea of a few other things you can use to flavor your foods. For example, sesame seeds, also good for arthritis, apparently, according to the latest of Gregor's videos. So these are two examples of black and regular sesame seeds. Also, this is something that is very popular around here, the Bragg's liquid aminos. Sometimes we use it as a soy sauce alternative, so it gives some flavor without a ton of salt or other things. Alrighty. And then last but not least, do not forget fresh herbs and spices. Rosemary, for example, can be grown very easily. We've got a bush that's been there for a few years and literally had to be chopped back because we had so much of it. It grows very well down here without any extra tending. Basil is something that's easy to grow, and it is also very good for you. It's one of those things that can be added to your food, either tear it apart or just kind of toss it in there, but basil can be very helpful, and you can even eat the little flowers that come out of it as well. So, one last thing, where did it go? Fennel seeds. All right. Can't do a spice presentation without one of my favorites, fennel seeds. These little things, they are little tiny things here that basically, if you take them, the way I usually have them is if I'm going to eat foods that I know are going to make me gassy, I'll just take a little pinch of them, pop them, chew them, and basically they have an enzyme in there which helps to fight gas and bloating. And so if I'm going to be having some food that I know I'm particularly sensitive to, I mentioned these a little while before, and it will definitely help with that aspect of it. This is something that I first encountered in Indian restaurants because at the end of the meal, on the way out the door, there's these little candy-covered things called makwas, which, for the most part, include fennel seeds. And I used to ask, well, what are these for? They'd say, oh, it's for digestion, oh, it's for, freshening your breath. And then later on, I found out that it's got an enzyme or some component of it that's very similar to Gas-X and how it works. I said, another great thing. Also, in the Mediterranean, women have used the fennel seeds for many years to help with fighting the cramping of their periods. The downside to that is, yes, the periods are less painful, but they do tend to be bleeding a little bit more, which is why for my ladies I usually recommend the ginger over the fennel seeds, but if someone's having particularly troublesome periods, they might incorporate fennel seeds during the week. Alright, so one last little note, because I'm sitting here and monitoring my steaming again, and this time I made sure to have plenty of water on hand. One of the folks asked recently what kind of foods are really, really good for detoxifying, and broccoli actually is one of the things which is top of the list there. In order to activate a particular enzyme in it, if it's chopped well ahead of time, then it actually releases a extra component to it, which is really, really helpful. If you get broccoli that's been frozen, in order to activate that extra enzyme, either add some fresh broccoli or add a little bit of mustard powder, if I remember right, and it'll have a little bit more on the links below there as well. And then finally, I wanted to do a quick demonstration of how easy it is to reheat foods, and I had the stove turned down. This is just something that one of my friends made yesterday, just an accumulation of leftovers mixed together. And really all I have is just a minimal amount of water in there, and just add it into there and keep an eye on it, and it will reheat in just a matter of minutes. And so that way I've got some fresh stuff, I got some leftovers from the other day tidied together, and so again, of course, microwaves can be used too, but sometimes it's just nice if you're at the stove to do everything together. Anyway, that's all I have for you tonight, a quick survey of some of the spices and a few ideas for you guys as well. Alright, have a good night. Thank you.